I get to listen to that music for, I don't know, another 5 seconds. I was going to say forever, but that's not true.
Well, it'd be hard to talk over it.
Yeah. I was going to start like that. I was just going to start when that shut off. I was just going to be like this. See if anybody said anything.
Well, no, doesn't look like it here so far. So
yeah, so far we got the big old 0 squat as far as folks watching. I put the tweet out there though, so that should drive about 50, 60 people over to us. It's just normally what we're getting, 50 or 60 people. All right. Start recording on my Audacity, though. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really been lately. I've been running so behind with doing stuff every week. I just get caught up with life and all kinds of other crap that by the time I'm able to sit down and start editing one of these episodes, it's easier just to use what we've recorded through StreamYard. I just grab the audio off of that and start editing, because I mean, it's nice to have the Audacity ones, because there has been a couple of times where like my side or your side for some reason just got freaking there. Matter of fact, one of the episodes, it was really weird. I can't remember which one it was. Right in the middle of it, it just cut out like 3 minutes or something, 3 or 4 minutes right in the middle of the of it. And I don't know if that's how it is out on YouTube. Like I can't remember which one it is now, but so I had to jump over there to the Audacity recordings and fit that stuff in. So it's nice to have that as a backup. But
did it cut out both sides?
Yeah, it's weird. It just chopped like 5 minutes out. Just went from boop boop, just like there was nothing there. Just stopped recording for 5 minutes or something, and then.
Dude, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was, but it's technology.
Yep.
Technology. So yeah. So I say we continue recording our sides through Audacity if we can.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's good to have as a backup just in case. In fact, I'm going to go really quick before we get started. I'm going to delete all the old Audacity stuff I have. I mean to do that every once in a while because it does take up a lot of space.
Yes.
So let me do that. Meant to do that before we start. Yeah, because that's like it was like almost 10 gigabytes worth of stuff. And then we will get rolling.
All right. So this first one's you, right?
First one is me. And, when we recorded the last batch of episodes, you remember that one that had the synopsis that I had to read that was super long?
Oh, yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, well, that's you. That's you this time around.
Well,
it's like the second episode we're doing.
This one right here. That one's long, but then so is that the one, because I saw that you had stopped the notes and I wasn't sure why, so I just carried on with episode 27. Look at that synopsis.
Yeah, good Lord.
Yeah, and that was just that was the first of the Superman story. So
yeah, that's one we won't get to tonight, but that'll be one of that'll be yours. Yeah,
that'll be mine.
That'll be yours. Yeah,
starting next time.
Yeah, so the next two that you're doing are both super long.
Yep.
That's funny. I don't know why it's funny. It just
so 4, 5, and 6, 24, 25, 26, 7 to 8 to 9, 30. So around 30 would be our next feedback episode if we're doing them 10 episodes a time. So
yeah, and in fact, if we want to, because 27 is the first story in what, Superman number 3.
Yeah, and there's 4.
There's 4. Okay, so 27, 28, 29, 30. So, and then that finishes that first collection, right?
Yeah, no, actually, the first two stories in the Superman finish that collection.
Oh, it continues on.
Story
That's
3 and
weird.
4 are in the next. Yeah, I don't
That's
know why
weird.
I guess just size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds dumb. Boo, DC, boo.
Well, I will say that the two stories end that volume. I didn't break open the next volume to see if it starts with the
Yeah.
next two stories. So that I'm not sure of.
I just picked up volume 2 because it was on sale for like $5 on
Oh, heck.
Comixology. So I picked that up real quick today. All right. Let's do the clap thing and then we'll get started. We have one person viewing. Hello, viewer. Please sign in the YouTube chat if you're able to.
Comment so we know who you be.
Don't know if you can see the cat behind me.
Not quite, I don't think. Oh, yeah, there I can.
Yeah. Yep. We have one of our cats, not that one, but the other cat has been super needy lately, and so I've shooed him away twice. I don't mind if they come up here and get in the shot or anything, but the other one likes to lay on my laptop, which is right in front of me, which is where the camera is sitting right now.
Yeah,
really the camera's not there, but
yeah.
So there's I just there may be a couple of times in this episode where I'm like, no, damn. Otherwise he's gonna come knock this camera right over. So all right, let's do the clap thing. 1, 2, 3. And let's get rolling. All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 24, The Return of the Ultra-Humanite. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy, Doug S.
Howdy. Oh, hey, Doug's joining us live via YouTube chat, comments, I think so. So, hey, Doug.
For our recording of episode 9, but not of the show. This is episode 24 of the show.
Yes, episode 9 of the making of.
Yes,
which we try to do. For those who may be listening for the first time, Ed and I get together live stream, and we do our episodes in batches. So we're going to try to get to episode 24, 25, and 26 tonight.
Yep.
And then hopefully we can get together next week and do 3 or 4 more. And we haven't done this in a while because I got sick last week.
Yep.
And
sucked. I had to beg off too. I forget what happened Monday.
Well, I was wondering about that. I noticed, did the new season of Dancing with the Stars
start on Monday? Last night. Yeah, that's why I couldn't last night, because I had to podcast prep with the wife by watching the show.
Yeah, because you do that show, Dance Fever.
Yep.
You got a cat behind you now too.
Yeah, I saw the tail there. Thinking about it, we haven't gone on Disney Plus to see if it's on there unlive. If you can watch it after the fact, or if it's
I don't know,
which would be interesting. I would hope that they would just do it live and then that's it. That way, it would be more an enticement for people to watch it then. And there would be a higher viewership at that point.
Yeah, with something like that, I would think that if they put it up on Disney Plus, they might wait until the season's over and then put the whole season up
there is live voting of the audience, right? So obviously you wouldn't be able to do that if you watched it, but at least you could still say, well, I watched, this week's episode. I just had to wait until Wednesday night or whatever. But we need to check that out to see what it is, just so we know it. That'd be interesting because it's the first live on Disney Plus of anything. So I don't know how
that'd be interesting, because typically a show like that, unless it's a Disney Plus original, a show that's on ABC, that they're going to then stick up on a streaming service the next day typically goes to Hulu because they own Hulu. So
So okay. So there's our banter that has absolutely nothing to do with Superman.
That's all right.
There you go.
That's all right. One thing I do want to mention, and I'll probably mention this in the next episode as well, but I have a new solo podcast coming up that does have something to do with Superman.
Yes, it does.
This episode that we're recording now airs on September 26th, Monday, September 26th. So the next week, October the 6th, we'll see episode 0 of Just Another Fanboy Presents The Death of Superman. And I'm going to be reading every issue in the Death and Return of Superman storyline and then talking about them on this show. There's a trailer up now, and if I can think about it, I'll put a note in a link in the show notes, but it's just it'll be at presents.justanotherfanboy.com. So if you have read The Death of Superman, or you're looking for an excuse to read it, here you go. Read along with me. And
is there going to be one book per episode?
Yes, I'm going to try to do what John does over on his Superman in Crisis show, where because the episode 0 is more of a here's what you kind of need to know before getting into the Death of Superman. And so episode 1 will launch on October 13th, and that is the week that 30 years ago, issue number 18 of the Man of Steel came out, which is when the Death of Superman storyline started. So each week, 30 years later, I'm going to try to release the episodes of the show. Like episode 2 will actually be about a Justice League comic and a Superman comic, because both of those are in the storyline and they both came out in the same week.
So the episodes are tied to weeks, not necessarily books. Okay.
Yeah, and because of that, there will be weeks that there won't be episodes that come out.
Right.
I was kind of surprised when there are a few number of them in there. There's even like a whole almost an entire month where they don't, like after Superman dies,
right?
They go like 3 or 4 weeks without releasing any Superman comics. It's
I guess that was part of the thing, I guess.
Yeah, pretty weird. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, that's something that folks can look forward to. And
all
right.
I don't believe it's anything anybody's talking about right now, and I haven't seen anybody say that to watch for it. So
yeah, and
you may be out there on an island during that.
Well, I was going to do a completely different storyline for this show. And then I read that the 30th anniversary was coming up in October, and I thought, well, that's perfect. I'll just do that first. And the storyline that I was going to do, and I'll give it away now. I was going to do the Clone Saga. That is there's so many issues in that freaking storyline.
Yeah,
I think I was biting off a little bit more than I could chew. Jumping into the first thing I do to be the Clone Saga, that probably wasn't a good idea. So, but yeah, were you around? Were you reading during the Death of Superman? Did you go into a comic book store and buy that issue?
Okay, let's see. That was probably the early 90s. You said 30 years ago. Of course, that would make it early 90s.
92.
Yeah, actually, that was my first comic book shop that I ever found. I was in graduate school in Huntington, West Virginia, home of the Marshall University Thundering Herd, for those of you that may be sports fans or, I don't know, college fanatics. I don't know why else you would know it if you're not a sportsy person. And Image was why I was going.
Yeah.
But I do believe, and I don't think I had it because in one of the great purges it probably went, but I did have a black bag, whichever issue it was. Superman, I guess it was.
75, yeah.
The black bag, and it was sealed and everything, and I never opened it. That was until last year, I think, or maybe the year before, sometime during the pandemic, I finally read it. Yeah. But that was the only involvement that I ever did. I knew it was going on, but I was not DC. I was not Superman. I don't know. I was too good for all that because I was buying all the Image stuff. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I did grab a black bag, and that was it.
Nice. Yep. All right. Yeah, I was. I think that's the storyline that got me back into Superman.
Okay.
Because I had, John Byrne got me started with Superman,
Right.
and then I had stopped, and I believe I was working at a comic book store at the time. But that's what got me back into Superman. Doug says that was during his long hiatus. Well, Doug, if you haven't read it, here's your chance. Get on in it.
Yep.
Get all in that Superman.
It's not bad. I thought when I read it, like I say, the past year or 2 years, I forget exactly when I did finally get around to it. For me, it definitely had its ups and downs, not being tied into DC or Superman. It was definitely very much a standalone endeavor for me. I was just reading this storyline, and I mean, I was entertained enough to read all of it. It didn't throw me off and make me quit or anything. Rage quit. Stupid book. Which that almost happened to me this weekend. I read about a third, almost half of a major X storyline that's going on right now, and it just about made me quit reading comic books. I kid you not. I was just like, oh.
I'm so behind on Marvel that I tried to get into the the Hickman X books,
right,
and just got distracted. So read some and never got back into it. But yeah,
I would, if somebody's wanting to read Marvel, I would honestly suggest they do what I thought or think that you were doing as far as reading the older stuff.
Yeah.
You said you started at the beginning of a particular year or
85,
something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, just do that, because
Yeah.
in my estimation, as a longtime Marvel reader, those stories are infinitely better than most of the poo that they put out now.
I have to agree, and I know we sound like a couple of old fogies when we say that, but
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, that's fine. I've tried to get into new Marvel stuff quite a number of times recently, and there's some of the stuff I do enjoy.
Sure, yeah,
but
yeah.
In general, it's like I feel like an old man reading this stuff, because I'm like, I have no idea. No, I don't recognize any of this. This is not my Marvel universe,
Yeah.
DC, for
to a
some
point.
reason, however, I just feel totally comfortable with a lot of the new DC books.
Okay.
Well, that are 6 months old, because
Well, yeah,
I get them
that's new
Yeah.
for how you're having to read it.
But which is, I've always been a Marvel zombie, and yet right now, as far as the new stuff, it's DC's what's doing it for me.
Well, I read. I guess I'm a FOMO X reader. To be honest,
explain that.
Fear of missing out.
Oh yeah, nope, yep, been there.
FOMO, yeah. So there is one or two books of the, I don't know, 273 every month that they put out that I actually enjoy, and unfortunately, the rest I read because I feel I have to, and
Yeah.
that motivation is quickly running dry. It's
Yeah.
not enough.
Yep.
So now there are other books. Captain America with Steve Rogers, I'm really enjoying. The new Spider-Man book that started up, the new Daredevil book. I like both of those. So there are some things.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of what they're doing with the Avengers. I'm
Me
not
neither.
a big fan of the X-Men, and so
I've tried to get into the Avengers a number of times.
Yeah,
because a lot of Jason Aaron stuff I read and just fall in love with, but I cannot get into his Avengers for some reason.
Well, and here is my thinking. This came to me the other day. I don't know, when I was on the porcelain throne, or I was in the shower, or wherever we do our best thinking nowadays, particularly as old men. What is the interest in, particularly, it's been going on with the Avengers since Hickman took over the Avengers many years back. What is that? Almost 10 years ago. That whatever they're building to, that this universal, that's not going to come. It's not going to happen. They're not
Yeah.
going to stop making Marvel books. The
Yeah.
Marvel universe isn't going to blow up. All of the Avengers are not going to die. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's where you're taking the story. And I know that's not where you're going to go. So for me as a reader, what is the point of reading that?
Yep.
Now, yeah, like I think the reason that I am able to keep reading the X books is because there are characters that interest me, and I just want to know what is happening with those characters for later on when I do start liking their books. At least I'll be familiar with references and things like that.
Yeah.
But particularly with the Avengers, since Hickman, it's just been these huge. The world is going to end. The
Yeah.
universe is going to end. All time is going to end. I mean, everybody keeps trying to outdo everybody else, and it's like, to what point? Because what you're hinting is going to happen
Ain't
will
gonna happen.
never
Yeah.
happen. So where is the um, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Doug says he's not reading any Marvel at the moment. He's reading some DC books, but mostly he's reading other publishers. Yeah.
Well, that's me. I mean, for years there were other books that I saw and I know that came out, but I just didn't have the time or the resources because I
Yeah.
was a Marvel zombie, Steven,
Yeah.
like you were.
Yeah.
Well, now I have the time, so I'm going all the way back to the 70s and reading a lot of these seminal things that people
Yep.
talk about just to see and stuff.
Yeah.
Today I went down a Howard Chaykin rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um, somebody, Rob Liefeld, talked about him on his podcast today, and so I'm like, oh well, I know he's been around. How long? What's he done? And I'm like, Howard Chaykin.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah. I was just reading the well, I only got a few pages into it, but I started to read the very first Star Wars comic
oh,
from Marvel,
okay,
and
there
was
we go.
surprised to find Howard Chaykin
Hmm.
on that. That kind of
Hmm.
surprised me, because when I think of Howard Chaykin, as far as stuff from back then, my mind goes to the his indie stuff, like American Flag, I
Right,
guess, and
certainly.
that's I didn't realize he had been over on that kind of stuff as well.
Well, and the funny thing is that he was pretty much Marvel until he got done with the Micronauts,
Yeah.
and he took a break. He didn't want the Micronauts, and it just tapped him out creatively. He's like, I can't do this. And yeah, Doug S. liked American Flag too. I have not read that. I've read spot
Never mind.
issues,
Yeah.
but yeah. So there we go. That's the
That's
life of a comic reader with too much time.
Yeah, that's one of those books because my older brother is the one who really got me into comics.
Hmm.
He had went to a comic book store before I did, of course, because he was older and he could drive. And so books like American Flag and God, what were some of the others that I was thinking of just the other day? Sable.
Okay, John Sable.
John Sable.
John Sable freelance. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of others that I associate with my older brother. I've never read them, but I remember them being in his room, and I keep meaning to check some of that stuff out, because he always seemed to enjoy him. Grimjack was one I remember him reading a lot of, and the Badger, which you've been reading for Newsprint Commando. So
Yep. Yeah, that's good, solid indie stuff there. It's not, some of the more fringy indie. That's like right down the middle of the lane. Good.
Yeah.
People refer to it and everything, kind of indie stuff. That's good stuff.
All right. Well, that was a lot of banter.
That was.
So let's get into the main topic of the episode today. We're looking at the return of the Ultra-Humanite, which appeared in Action Comics number 17, written by Jerry Siegel, pencils by Joe Shuster, inks by Paul Cassidy. This was published by DC Comics with a cover date of October of 1939. According to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it had a approximate sale date of August 31st, 1939. And here's what happened. The ship Clarion is aflame and being buffeted by titanic waves, and Clark Kent is assigned to cover the disaster. After watching a dozen Coast Guard members drown in a futile attempt to reach the beleaguered ship, Clark sheds his suit and swims to the vessel as Superman. After literally battering back people trying to jump overboard, Supes commands the passengers to help him fight the blaze, eventually venturing deep inside the fiery hold with a fire hose himself to quench the flames. The Clarion springs a leak after this, and Superman jumps aboard, or Superman jumps. The Clarion, good Lord, let me just take a breath. All right. The Clarion springs a leak after this, and Superman jumps overboard and pushes the ship to shore. Coming aboard with the investigating detectives as Clark Kent, the hero points out the hold is full of empty drums and gas cans, confirming sabotage. Clark pays a visit to the head of the line that owns the ship, and after bodily hoisting the boss's assistant out of the way, learns that he has been contacted by saboteurs who demand $5 million or they'll destroy every ship in his line, prompting Clark to at least admire their bravado. Just then, they call to give him the specifics on delivering their payoff. Clark tries to get the operator to trace the call, but is told there were no incoming calls to the building. It would take an extremely clever criminal to send a telephone call and leave no trace, Clark notes, such as his old enemy, Ultra. Upon leaving, some of the mastermind's henchmen grab Clark and rough him up, which he goes along with. But after they throw him out, he changes to Superman, runs down their car, and drops it and its passengers off on top of a building to show them who they're messing with. Next, the Man of Steel follows the messenger as he goes to deliver the extortion money to the saboteurs, saving the man when they try to kill him to keep the location of their hideout secret. Not only that, but finding out the mastermind was indeed Ultra-Humanite, who's protected by a transparent wall. Superman busts through on a second try, but it's all for naught since the wicked scientist was never there. It was just a hologram. At least he didn't get his blood money, but Clark later wonders when they will meet again. Ed, what did you think?
I actually enjoyed this one.
I did too.
Had multiple settings there. I still just have such a difficult time with this iteration, I guess, of Superman. He is so much more aggressive than anything we see now. His sitting by while however many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's
probably
12 to 15 guys in that rescue boat.
Yeah.
He just lets them drown.
Yeah.
It's oh, look, they're going to try. Oh, they failed. Well, I guess
shucks.
I need to do something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm like, Soups, dog. I mean, that in this story, that's probably the thing that really stuck with me is that he just sat by. And I know that's kind of harsh. I mean, I understand that his motivation probably is to let regular man take care of it before Superman has to intervene. I can appreciate that. And also, I guess at this point, I mean, he can't fly or anything. So, what's he going to do to save him? He's going to swim out and grab one and swim back and swim out and grab one. Well, he wouldn't be able to get them all, So I guess the way that he's written right now, it's like, well, once it happens, what could he do to save them?
Right.
And except for maybe one or two, I guess the answer is nothing. I mean, he couldn't save them all. So
yeah, I mean, logically, it makes sense, but it's very hard for us not to think about Superman of today.
Yeah,
and how he would have just, oh my gosh, he would have taken care of everything before the Coast Guard even got in the water.
Right. Yeah, he would not have let them go out there in the storm and put themselves in danger. Yeah. And that's my fault because, hey,
see, I told you.
Yep. I am comparing, two completely different iterations of the character. And it's not really fair. I mean, at some point, this Superman just didn't work anymore. So they changed some things up over and over and over and over until, looks like Steven's dropped out. Maybe he hit his camera. Can you hear me at all, Steven? Nope.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, your camera's out. Um, so yeah, it's just you can't really compare the two. It's not fair, and part of that is what brought us to doing this to begin with, is to see about and learn about this particular Superman. So that's what we're attempting to do. But now I believe that Steven has dropped out completely, and he is coming back. Maybe he's trying. So, is your audio back, Steven?
My audio is back. I got this freaking cat laying on my laptop.
But the video is not back. Just
yeah,
so
trying to get
okay
started back up here.
Okay, so let's see, what else did I note? I did also note that there was a hanging Superman here in this issue. Let me flip on to give a panel number. There you be, a panel number, hopefully. I made a note that there was one, but I don't. Oh, there it is. Panel 84 is our hanging Superman for this issue.
Yay, Superman hanging from a ledge.
That brings us up to 9 in the 20, what is this, 4? The 24 stories that we have talked to. 24 stories, and he's hanging. Get it? 24 yeah. So this is the 9th incident of that out of 24.
Nice. The thing I think that stuck out the most for me in this story, and I don't know the idea behind it, but I don't know if they refer to the Ultra-Humanite at all as the Ultra-Humanite. Freaking cat. God, I swear to God. Unplug this camera and plug it back in. Anyway, I don't know if they refer to the Ultra-Humanite by the full name at all in this entire story. They keep referring to him as Ultra, which I thought was kind of odd.
I agree. I don't believe that they said the two words together.
Yeah. And I don't know. When I originally heard the name, the Ultra-Humanite, my first thought wasn't first name Ultra, last name Humanite, like Bob Smith. But I don't know why they would shorten it for this entire issue unless somebody just didn't feel like lettering the Ultra-Humanite, that's perhaps a lot of letters, but I thought it was kind of weird.
Also, want to make note here that the cover is a scene that has absolutely nothing to do with the Superman story.
Yeah, nothing at all.
He is
that the
waylaying a World War I era tank.
Yeah.
He's being shot at by a machine gun nest, and I mean, he's not, he's not engaged in war. Well, I'm sorry. Well, no, this 1939. Yeah, I don't know. This might still be the style of tank that was being produced at the beginning of World War II. Obviously, we know it changed because this is not what they look like now.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing to. So they Siegel or Schuster. Did he do the? I don't remember looking to see who did the cover. So
I don't know who did the cover. Yeah.
They whoever it was just did a cover.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
whatever
you want.
That's not all that different to a lot of the covers we see nowadays.
Well, nowadays, but it's I didn't think they were doing it back then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's an anthology and we need a cover for this one. Let's look through, here's something that we put together 6 months ago,
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah. It's weird. Because we get another Superman cover not in the next issue of Action Comics, but the issue after that. And I don't think that has anything to do with
Okay, I'll
the
have
story
to
either.
pay attention when I
Yeah,
flip to there.
I don't remember. But
So, as far as the story, let's see what else. I was kind of, and again, this is my comparing now to then. I was kind of disappointed with the fact that Superman had to jump into the ocean. He had to swim out to the boat, because again, ultimately, what in the world is he going to do? I mean,
yeah,
he he is very um almost pedestrian at this point in his superpower.
yep, yeah,
It'd be like I don't know, Sandman. Let's say the original incarnation of Sandman. He's a regular dude that had his sleepy gun, and how is he going to save this boat?
yeah,
And yeah, Superman is impervious, and he's strong, and he's fast, but he's fast swimming. I guess it just took him, I don't know, a couple seconds to swim all the way out to the boat. We definitely see that as he's trying to motivate everybody on the boat to do something to save the boat, because he is but a single man, and so he can't, in essence, do everything. Whereas now, we have the omnipotent, almost omnipresent, almost omniscient, almost Superman.
yeah,
And it's just, I don't know. It really got hammered home this time because it was a big situation that he was trying to rectify, not a specific, or not a car, or saving miners in a mine, or it's like, no, it's a several hundred person ship out in the water.
yep.
you know could he not tow the ship in, even swimming? And I mean,
No, even when he did move the ship, he pushed it.
yeah, so I guess they're still thinking of Superman, more the man part than the
Yeah,
super part.
yeah, yeah. Because nowadays, yeah, he'd fly out there, he'd pick up the ship, and
he
he'd fly it to shore. Boom, done.
Yeah,
You
literally,
know.
there would be a panel with probably one hand, and he'd be, holding the ship. And yeah.
Yeah,
So, um, what else? Just very aggressive.
yeah,
Still aggressive to the people, to get back. When he got there, oh, save us, save us. Aggressive about fighting the fire,
yeah.
getting the people to do that. Just there's a couple places in the stories, the next couple stories, where he's even more so.
Yeah.
But just very, very aggressive, I thought.
Even as Clark Kent, because then when he goes to the the company that owns the ship. Okay, we're just gonna pause a moment, and I'm gonna move this freaking cat.
Okay.
Good Lord.
Oh. The difficulties of being a cat dad, I know all too well.
Good Lord, good Lord. It's not one thing, it's another.
Doug S says he's crying here with his little emoji, by the way.
Yeah.
Laughing to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I don't blame you, Doug. I don't blame you. I mean, the way he was laying across this laptop, he kept slowly edging the camera off to the side of it, and I knew it any moment it was just going to topple over. And then one of his paws was almost resting atop the cord of the camera that's plugged into the side of the laptop, and that's why the camera kept switching off, because he kept kind of pressing on it with his paw, and it's just like, dude, there is so many other places in this house to sleep, but I guess the top of the laptop is pretty warm.
Probably warm, yeah.
He likes it up there.
And he's packing, because you're right there, so it's like, okay, yeah.
He does. This is where I work every day when I'm working from home, and he does spend probably 90% of the day here on the laptop.
Well,
I spend a lot of time, telling him to get, because he can't just sleep. He has to get up every 5 minutes and stretch and lick himself. And it's just like, I can't see the monitor. You need to get down. I'm trying to work. So he's funny.
Yes.
He's funny.
First world problems.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Here in panel 49 and 50, you were, I think, alluding to where he picks up the dude at the the assistant at the manager's office and throws him.
Yeah.
Well, we assume he throws him. Maybe he just hefts him up over his head, and maybe he sets him back down. I don't know. We don't actually see him throwing. We're assuming that's what he did.
You don't see that often when he's Clark Kent, which is, I think, the part that shocked me the most about that scene, because he goes up to the guy and he's like, I want to see the boss. And he's like, he's in a meeting right now. Well, let's just see, and picks him up over his head. Yep. It's like, dang, Clark, settle down. Because he's supposed to, I don't know. You would think that at some point this guy would be like, I'm going to at least say something to the police that this regular dude came in and just lifted me up over his head and probably tossed me into a wall. Yeah, again, we don't know what he did afterwards. Maybe he did set him down gently to the side, but the way the guy was, the way the guy's arms are practically, his arms and legs are flailing around over his head. Yeah.
Which that's a pretty good panel, by the way. The art, very distinctive of what's going on. Everything is illustrated the way it needs to be in order to show what is going on. There's no Clark's, one of his hands is hidden, kind of, so that's kind of a little shortcut. But perspective of the camera, you wouldn't be able to see all of that anyway. So
I think what we're not seeing with his hidden hand is that he's tickling him.
Well, it could be. That's why he's flailing.
That's why he's flailing.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. Stop tickling me. Yep. That's what's happening. Yeah. All in all, I enjoyed this story as well. It is interesting to think about, how Superman handled the crisis on the ship, compared to how he would handle it now, because you're right. There's not a lot really in that situation that he can do compared to what he would do now. And he really did all that he could do as Superman with his power set at the time, which was to swim out there, violently keep the people on the boat, which is funny. Right. And then just go down into the hold with the fire hose and try to put that fire out. Which he did.
What he would have probably blown it out today, but he doesn't have that power yet.
Exactly. So. Yep. Is this the one? I'm trying to look through it now. Does he use his X-ray vision in this issue?
That's another story.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I enjoyed him picking up the car and leaving it on top of a building. I thought that was funny.
Okay. Yep.
And then, of course, we get the Ultra-Humanite back. That's
cool, because that's definitely his first real supervillain.
They've definitely established him by this point as Clark's or Superman's nemesis.
Yes.
Which, considering that we are this is issue 17 of Action Comics, and maybe is this the fourth time the Ultra-Humanite has shown up so far?
I'm not sure. Maybe
fourth time.
Yeah,
at least
it's not been
third.
Many, but it's been several.
But he's really the only reoccurring villain at this point, and he's the only villain that's not. I mean, we can't really call him a super villain,
right?
But he's not a typical villain. He's definitely a. Well, he's the Ultra-Humanite. So it's surprising that, if you were to ask somebody from back then, if they were suddenly brought forward into the future, and they'd probably, so the Ultra-Humanite is probably his big bad guy right now. And it's like, no, it's Lex Luthor, and Lex may be part of the comic strip. I don't know.
I don't.
I think one of the things we're discovering from reading a lot of this is that most of Superman's real firsts that are still part of the mythology today didn't even happen in many of these issues. They happened in the newspaper strips or on the radio show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that happened on the radio show that made it into the comics. That I don't know. I just find all that kind of interesting. And in fact, I ended up looking up the whole. I know we talked once about the first time Superman flies, because I was looking up to find out when we're going to get to that. And I had originally read there used to be a column over on Comic Book Resources. I think it was called Comic Book Legends Revealed. And the guy wrote a book. And that's where I first ran across the thing where he actually first flew in the Fleischer animated features, because the animators got tired of animating him leaping, bending of the knees and leaping. It was just easier. Just let him fly. And they went to DC and they said, can we do that? And DC's like, yeah, go ahead. We'll have him start flying in the comics as well. But then I read an update to that. And while still that is technically true, there's actually an issue of, I wish I had it in front of me. I'll have to get that ready for a future episode, but there's an issue of Superman or Action Comics that shows Superman flying, but it's because the artist made an error. The artist didn't know that Superman didn't fly. And based on panels from previous issues, because we see him jumping and he looks like he's flying. If you look at certain panels out of context, you will assume he's flying.
Right.
And that's apparently what this artist thought, was that Superman flew. And so that's how he drew him in the issue. And so technically he's seen flying first in an issue of Superman, but he doesn't have that power at that point until that Fleischer cartoon.
Speaking of the Fleischer cartoons, it just, all of those 24 episodes, I think, something like that, just became available on an app called Freevee. That was the former IMDb app, but it is available for free, I believe, on the Amazon Fire Stick. It's a free app there. So it may be available elsewhere, but just this past week, I saw somebody say that all of the Fleischers were available on Freevee, which is a free app. So
I don't have a Fire Stick, but
I've watched probably 2 or 3 of those. Yeah, see if you can download,
get it to my smart TV or something, because
either that or to a laptop or something like that, and you can watch them. Yeah,
because those, I've only seen a few of them.
Yeah,
and they're amazing looking. They're really neat.
It seems that they are better. Well, not seems to me, they're better than what I thought cartoons were at that time, or animation was at that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm underestimating animation, or it truly was the pinnacle of animation at the time. But they definitely, the style and everything holds up today, I think, very well.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So,
all right. Anything else you want to say about this issue?
I don't believe.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up then. I want to thank everyone for listening.
Hang on, Steeven. We have somebody, Piper Cody, indicates that the flying first happened in the radio show. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
And is this the first time Piper Cody has chimed in with us?
I believe so.
I believe as well. I don't recognize having seen Piper Cody before. So welcome. And thank you for the info tidbit. Yeah, I forgot about the radio show, but that's going on at this time too. Superman's just everywhere at this point, man. Yeah,
it's like I said, it's weird that a lot of stuff that we take for granted today in Superman seems like the first time it happened wasn't in the comics. It was either in the radio show or the strips, or even in the TV show. I heard there's a lot of stuff though that happened in the TV show that never made it to the TV show. Just didn't really give a crap about what was going on in the comics.
They did their own thing.
Did what they wanted to do. And I don't know if that was the case with the radio show as well, but it
was a what if TV show.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that was a good interruption. All right. So I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the supermansupershow@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us over on Twitter at Soups Super Show is the handle, or come join in on all of the fun over at the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All those links will be in the show notes. And so until next week, folks, I'm Steven.
I'm
That's Ed. And this was the Superman Super Show.
Bye.
Matt.
My daughter's name is Piper. I do the Superman radio. Oh, cool.
Okay. Very nice.
Welcome, Matt.
Welcome. Superman
Welcome,
Radio
Matt. I'm sorry.
So this is the podcast that actually plays the episodes, the actual radio episodes, or do you talk about the radio episodes? Or both? There's a delay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're okay. Plays the episodes and then has commentary.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. Matt, I haven't actually listened yet. It's on my list. I think, Ed, we were talking a couple of weeks back on one of the episodes that now that I'm working from home and I don't spend as much time in the car, I find that I don't listen to podcasts as much as I used to. 90% of the time, if I'm in the car, usually my wife's with me. And so we've been listening to a lot of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. So.
Nice to have you here, Matt. Appreciate it, man. I'm about 35 or 40 episodes in. I don't listen to an episode every time I listen to podcasts, which is every day while I'm at work. But I listen to probably one or two a week, and I started from the beginning relatively recently. Right before we started the show, actually, I started listening to the Superman radio shows.
Cool. Yeah, it's on my list. I have found that regardless of the fact that a lot of the stuff that I do at work is putting together reports and crunching numbers and crap like that, if I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast, my mind tends to focus on what I'm doing and not what I'm listening to. And suddenly I'll realize that I've been listening to something for 20 or 30 minutes and I have no idea what has happened over those last 20 or 30 minutes.
Right. No recollection.
And yeah. So I tend to pay better attention when I'm in the car. So unfortunately, that means I'm way behind on a lot of my podcasts, and that does make me a little sad. I'm gonna, Ed, real quick, I'm gonna jump into the kitchen and grab a soda.
Okay, go for it.
And then we'll get started on episode number 2, or episode 25. You know.
So anyone else out there listening as we're recording? We have Doug S. and we have Matt so far. So anybody else that might be listening, say something so we see who you be. I think Steven can see on StreamYard how many people are listening in, right?
Yeah, it's showing 2 currently.
Well,
so that
that's what we have.
And Doug, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I've got Audacity going back here.
Yeah.
I saved the first one. Did you save the first one?
Yeah, first one's saved. All right. So let's do the clap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Now we have 3 people watching.
Oh. All right. Ready to go? Nope. Hang on. Gotta get everything going here.
All right.
What is that? Look like a Mountain Dew?
This is a Diet Mountain Dew, sir. I'm watching my weight.
Diet. Okay, I got you. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode 25, Superman's Super Campaign. Howdy, folks. Welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Mr. Steeven Orr.
Hello.
So, cold pizza and Code Red got me through college.
Really, never been a Code Red guy. Love cold pizza though.
Oh man, I was interesting to me. Interesting story about Code Red. Back in the day, had been hearing that it was coming out. I went to a college/university here in Southern West Virginia, near where I'm living now. Didn't see hide nor hair of Code Red anywhere. No store, no restaurant had it. Nothing. But it kept hitting the advertising airwaves, magazines, TV. I was working on my bachelor's in geology, and one summer we had a summer field thingy for 6 weeks, and went to Colorado and Utah. And while we were in Colorado, finally hit a Taco Bell that had Code Red. So after months and months of wanting a Code Red, jonesing as it were, had to go all the way out to Colorado. What is that? That's
Crazy.
16 to 20 hours driving one way to finally find it. And I was able to enjoy my first Code Red.
That's crazy.
So there we go. There's nice. My Code Red story.
Nice. My son really likes the Baja Blast.
Okay.
And for a long time you couldn't get it around here either, but you could get it at the Taco Bell. So if we were going to Taco Bell, he'd be like, "Give me a Baja Blast."
But yeah, that's what he wanted. Yep, I got you. That's the most recent example of that. Most recent example of that is Cheerwine. For a long time there was it's a cherry flavored. It's not quite cola, but it's kind of a cherry cola. And for the longest time, it was a very Southern thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got a Bojangles up here, we started being able to get it up here. And then about a year after Bojangles came in, Cheerwine made it into the stores up here finally and was available.
Never heard of
so Doug is a Baja Blast person himself.
Yeah, I once I switched to diet, I can't drink non-diet stuff anymore. It's just too sweet.
I understand your words, but
I know
that
very foreign concept.
The meaning of that particular order of words, I don't understand that.
That's okay. That's all
right. My wife is the same way. She's consumed diet for so long, and I'm like, too sweet. What do you mean? Your diet is like, so I try not to have those conversations because I'm going to lose. So I just,
it's one of those things because my doctor who does all my weight loss stuff, who has been just trying to get me off of any kind of sweetened anything that's not fruit, basically, tells me all the time, it's eventually if you're not drinking even the diet soda, and the only sweet tasting stuff you're getting is fruit, then that's all you're going to crave. Your body's going to stop missing it after a while. But it's I haven't gotten to that point.
Perhaps,
and I don't know that I ever will. Like it. But because she tried to get me on like the bubbly, the flavored carbonated water, and that stuff tastes like death.
Okay. Okay. Well, there we go.
It's not good. But she says, once your body, once you have stopped with all the sweets, then that will taste sweet to you. And it's like, it's going to take me.
It's a matter of like, well, I don't want to take that chance. So
right.
I'm going to keep going with what I'm doing.
It's like I used to tell everybody because I have never been a big drinker and I've never liked beer.
Nope.
And as a teenager, when all my friends were drinking beer and they'd say, well, you get used to it. And I don't want to have to get used to it. Right. I'm not interested. I'm not that interested in getting drunk that I have to get used to a taste to get to that point.
I,
So,
I've been around long enough, and I've tried multiple times, and I can honestly say, nope, never
yeah.
acquired the taste for beer. Never have.
And I know people, my both of my brothers, my older brothers, very, it's like they just love beer. And
No.
it's like I don't get it. Alcohol just itself was just never.
And that's not a bad thing.
No,
So
not at all. Not at all. Hey, before we get into before you get into the actual episode, I just want to remind everybody real quick. This is the week that, or at least the week that this episode comes out, is the same week that episode 0 of Manu Show, Just Another Fanboy Presents The Death of Superman, has launched. You can find that at presents.justanotherfanboy.com. And I'm reading through the Death of Superman big Superman event that went through all 4 Superman titles from 92 into 93. So if you want to go check that out, it's out there.
And for our quick thoughts, just refer back to episode 24 of this show, where we gave a rather quick thoughts on Death of Superman.
Yeah, we had a lot of banter in that episode.
Yes, indeed. About that very thing.
Yep.
Alrighty, today we're looking at Superman's Super Campaign, which appeared in Action Comics number 18. This was written for us by Jerry Siegel, penciled and inked by Paul Cassidy, who was a ghosty kind of person for our much esteemed Mr. Schuster at this point.
Yep.
Now, Action Comics 18 was published by DC Comics and has a cover date of November 1939 with, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, an approximate on sale date of September 28th, 1939. So just roughly a month before. And it's those on sale and cover dates are kind of hanging with right about a month in between right now.
Yep.
But here is what happened in this issue. Senator Hastings has just finished giving his final speech for re-election. After many congratulations, Senator Hastings is driving home when he comes across a stranded woman in the middle of the road. Saying that she survived a car crash and is lucky to be alive, the senator gives her a lift into town. While Senator Hastings is driving, the woman grabs a vial of sleeping gas and crushes it. With the senator knocked out, the woman, named Trixie, drives the car to Wayside Inn, a notorious roadhouse, where she meets with a couple of men to drag the senator into the inn. I wonder if Dalton is at this particular roadhouse.
The name is Dalton.
The next day, Clark and Lois go over a woman. Excuse me. The next day, Clark and Lois go to cover a woman's suicide attempt. Excuse me. Let me try to suicide. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Death by sewer.
The next day, Clark and Lois go to cover a woman's suicide attempt. While the woman is in question. Wow.
You've psyched yourself out.
While the woman in question does not want any of this news to appear in the papers, rival journalist Gene Powers from the Morning Herald decides to write and publish the news the next morning. Furious by the lack of journalistic integrity from Gene, Clark and Lois confront him. As Gene throws a punch at Clark, Clark ducks and pretends to be clumsy by accidentally ramming his elbow into Gene's face, knocking him out. Later in the day, Clark is sent on assignment to interview Senator Hastings. As Clark begins to introduce himself, Hastings begins to plead for more time to collect the $10,000 for him. Confused, Clark tells Hastings that he's from the Daily Star and is soon sent on his way. As Clark leaves and ponders what that was all about, Clark notices that Gene Powers is now meeting with Hastings. Using his X-ray vision and super hearing, Clark is able to see and listen into the conversation between Gene and Hastings. Jean shows Hastings photographs of Hastings drugged, drinking, and smoking with Trixie, and is blackmailing him by printing these photos if he doesn't pay the $10,000 soon. Clark changes into Superman that evening and goes to Gene Powers' home and finds the blackmailed photos along with a list of all his blackmail victims. Gene wakes up and threatens Superman with a bow and arrow. I think maybe that's the first time, other than in Green Arrow, I have ever seen anybody threatened with a bow and arrow.
Right.
Unsuccessfully shooting Superman with an arrow, Superman takes the bow and shoots an electric billboard outside with great accuracy to prove his prowess. As Superman leaves and threatens Gene to leave, Gene phones Hamilton, the publisher of the Morning Herald, to warn him of Superman. Hamilton demands Gene to come to the office at once. That quite didn't make sense.
No.
Superman threatened Gene that if he did not leave town, Superman would be back, is somehow how that should have read. Superman follows Gene to the Morning Herald and overhears the conversation between Gene and Hamilton, confirming that Hamilton is behind the blackmailing and that Trixie and the photographer of the blackmailed photos are wanting more money or they'll squeal. Superman then follows Gene to the Wayside Inn, while Hamilton decides to publish the photos on the front page immediately after Senator Hastings refuses to give him the money. In the Wayside Inn, Gene shoots the photographer and is about to shoot Trixie when Superman busts through the window and throws Gene against the wall. Superman then heads to the Morning Herald, and after finding out that Hamilton has published the papers to go out, Superman destroys the printing presses along with the cars shipping the newspapers. After the wreckage, Superman forces Hamilton to give him the photographic plates of the senator, destroying them, and threatens Hamilton into leaving town at once. A week later, Senator Hastings is reelected. So, Steven, even though I did a really poor job of reading that, and it was rather confusing in its written reading, what did you think of the story?
This one was all right. A couple of quick notes I had was, first of all, I think this is one of the first times I've read a comic where a superhero really kind of got involved in a politician's political career.
Mm.
I mean, granted, the bad guy was blackmailing the politician, but
so what happens all the time?
Yeah, Superman really kind of got in the middle of that. Trixie looks like Lois Lane, plain and simple. I mean, if you, especially the fact that Lois is in the issue, you know, is part of the story. You look at Lois panels and Trixie panels, and it's the same person. And I feel like this is not the first time we've seen this from Schuster. We know he can draw women that don't look like Lois Lane, but I find it odd when he does draw women that look just like Lois Lane. I find that very odd. We also get a lot of Superman's if he's not threatening somebody's life, he's basically making them leave town. And I have to wonder where they end up setting shop after they leave Metropolis, because that's all, you know, it's either do this, confess to your crime, or I will kill you, or leave town, or I will kill you. It's one or the other. And this one was two folks, two different bad guys he made leave town. And are they going to Gotham? Is that why Gotham is such a crime-ridden city? Is because they're all
Maybe
Superman's
so.
Making them leave Metropolis?
Yeah.
They're just going to Gotham and setting up shop.
He doesn't follow them out that far, just
right
out to the city limits. And if they're past it, he's like, okay.
It's like, all right, my job is done. They're no longer in my city. There's somebody else's problem. That's fun.
This also has a cover. Yes, they did. Matt credit Paul Cassidy, both on the. Where did you pull this from, Steven?
DCFandom.com is where I get the credits.
And the Grand Comic Book Database also credits him, I believe. Yes, it's signed as Joe Shuster, but Cassidy, somewhere along the way, is been determined to have been the penciler and inker, apparently.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Matt to respond if he does. This cover doesn't have anything to do with the story, and the splash panel
Yeah.
in the upper right-hand corner. What's going on with the aircraft there that are being shot down by invisible Akak, or what? I mean,
I don't know. The opening panel in most of these issues of Action Comics have nothing to do with the splash panel, or they give what's ultimately the faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive thing about Superman, which they haven't quite gotten there yet. I think that comes from the TV show. It may be from the radio show first,
but being just a panel is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. But this one, something is happening up here
something's
in the corner
shooting out those planes out of the sky, and we don't know why. And Superman just seems to be leaping by and ignoring them completely.
Fred Gardner is the cover artist. Yeah, okay. I see that here on the
Gardner. Yeah, I can see that in the corner.
Grand Comics listing. But yeah, those are, so right off the bat, not that bringing up the cover artist, not that art is bad at all. I actually would quite enjoy this art in a war comic. It would suit very well. But again, this looks like a scene from World War I, which we're in between, of course. But I guess given the current climate of things, maybe, or to try to make it more actiony to grab people, they're conflating the Superman with potentially real world events to juice up interest in the book. I guess I don't know. It just, nowadays, like you said, it's common that you're lucky if the character that's in the book is even on the cover, much less the cover having anything to do with it.
And I'm assuming that that cover has something to do with one of the other stories in this issue, and based on the titles, I'm looking at DC Fandom, and based on the titles, I can't see which story that might be a part of.
Pep Morgan, no, that's a Western. Chuck Dawson, that's a Western.
That looks like a Western.
Cult of the Tiger is an adventure. Flying Fool, it's aviation.
Yeah, must be that one.
Although that's a text story of 1.5 pages, so that's Tex Thompson. I don't think he was a detective, right? I don't think he would have. Three Aces, Adventure Aviation, 1937 War in Spain. That could be what it's referring to.
Yeah, Three Aces, the captured plane, captured planes.
Zatara is the other big story. So I wasn't even thinking about the fact. I was thinking about the Superman book itself, which of course is all Superman. But the action issues are not. So that was goofy of me to even think that it should have been a Superman cover. There's no, there's 5 or 6 features in each issue. It could be any of them. So I apologize, Action Comics, for saying that. That was just goofy.
This scene here in the story at the restaurant where Lois and Clark, and it's mostly Clark, confronts the other reporter.
Powers.
And it's so funny because the guy is such a jerk, because Clark just walks up to him and tells him that wasn't sporting at all, and the guy's like, it wasn't, eh? Neither is this, and just takes a swing at Clark. And then of course Clark just accidentally elbows him in the chin. Oops, sorry.
Finally, Clark is doing something. Finally.
Right. Yeah. He definitely does not come across, even though he doesn't, throw his, throw hands with this guy. He definitely doesn't come across as a coward in this one in front of Lois, because if they were still, I guess, kind of going with that angle, then Lois should have been the one that got all in this reporter's face. And Clark would have been like, now, Lois, let's not get too hasty here. It's like, we don't make him mad, Lois. I'm a coward. But so yeah, at least Clark at this point is not looking, like a weakling in front of Lois. Um,
And I
and it
believe the next page, panel 30, is the one that you were asking about with his.
Yeah, is what's up with that panel? Is because
It's
the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, they're using his heat vision because it
right,
looks like he's melting
melting a hole in the
the
wall.
freaking
Yeah,
wall. But I don't know if that's just because obviously he doesn't.
nope.
I don't know. It
It's just X-ray vision, but yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it's even drawn like the wall is melting.
Yeah, is that supposed to be? I mean, I'm trying to imagine it if this was happening on a TV show or in a movie, and is that supposed to be our transition? Like, ooh, the wall is melting away, even though it's not, to see what's on the other side, just to, I guess, accentuate his X-ray vision. They didn't do that the last time they used his X-ray vision. I just found
No.
that really confusing at first.
And also, let me state here, I need to find it. There apparently was yep, here it is. Panel 62. Here is a hanging Superman. So that's 2 issues in a
Yeah,
row.
2
That brings
issues,
us up to
man.
10 total,
It's crazy.
hanging by one hand while looks like he's listening through the wall, which he could be, I guess, with the super hearing he does have at this point.
Yeah. And then before that, him using the bow and arrow to shoot that little light bulb out of the.
That was just,
Yeah.
what, truly, what was the point of that?
I don't know, because I get it. He's like, this is who you're messing with. Don't mess around with me because I can do this. But he could have just picked the guy up by his throat, and that would have been just as,
Well, or just puffed up his chest and let the arrow bounce off his chest. That would have been
yeah.
pretty imposing. Yeah, you've got it. Go ahead.
Matt says in the comics, colored red in the Golden Age Superman omnibus, which is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's what we both have. It's colored red, but it also looks like the yellowish there, or the secondary color.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wouldn't
the
say it's
X-ray
heat
vision is
either. Yeah.
red, and then where there's this swath going across the bricks that's in yellow, and it looks like the wall is melting.
Looks like
right
it looks like it's so I guess that is the vision penetrating is what they're trying to portray there,
Yeah.
rather than, I guess, anything physically really happening to the wall.
Right. Yeah.
Because even in the next panel, the people are kind of hazy like a ghost.
Yeah. Yep.
In denoting, because they say up here he's using X-ray eyes. So
yeah.
And maybe I don't know. Maybe it was drawn. Would it have been drawn and then the narration lettered after? So maybe the artist didn't know what he was doing, not in a bad way, but
Yeah, it's definitely X-ray vision. Matt's saying, wouldn't say it's heat vision either. It's definitely X-ray vision. It's just the way that it's drawn and colored. I thought it was the heat vision at first. That was my first thought, was
right. When I
oh my
first
gosh,
saw
they're
that
using
panel,
his
that's
heat
what I
vision.
thought.
And
Yeah.
then it's like, no,
It's
because it tells us in the next panel that he's using his X-ray eyes
yeah.
and his
So
super sensitive ears. But it's just a weird way to show his X-ray vision being used. Because normally, I mean, even back then, a lot of times what we would see is, even if we were seeing him looking at the wall, instead of the red beam hitting the wall and then what looks like the wall melting, we just would have seen like a circle with dots going around it and the people on the other side of the wall through that. That's how I'm used to
in the
seeing them
circle would have
doing
been it. Just like Matt says here, 31 is a much better example of using the X-ray vision.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah. And let me just call Matt out for Cool Beans sitting there looking at the book while we're talking about this.
Yeah,
That's
very
pretty
nice.
awesome too, man.
Matt's following
But
along.
that's the edition that Steven and I both have, is that Golden Age, what omnibus or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the omnibus. I think that's more
Superman in the Golden Age. Big book, whatever they called it.
Big
hardcover or whatever. Ripping the safe out like paper, it said. Yep, like it was constructed of paper. I was like, okay, there we go. There's Superman doing some super stuff.
Yep.
But then, yeah, we get to the arrow thing, and that whole sequence just was off to me. It, you know, catching the arrow. Well, even a regular dude can catch the arrow. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's more impressive, like the time we saw him catch the bullet before it hit. There was like the story where the guy shot at Lois and he raced the bullet and got in front of it and caught it before it hit Lois. That was pretty cool. This is just like, okay, I guess they're trying different things. They're, what's a way that we can show that Superman is super, that we haven't shown before.
Without dogging anybody, just saying that he's better. I'm better than you. Watch that light bulb over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay.
And of course that just terrifies this poor man. Oh, what do you want?
Yep. Not that catching the arrow did it.
Right.
Which would be impressive enough, I would think. It's like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty silly, I think. And we get another, like you said, we got another Superman hanging from a ledge looking in a window.
There in panel 62.
But we have another scene of Superman chasing down a car.
Yes.
Or in this case, he's just following the car, but still, it's really funny and really hard for me to not laugh at those kind of panels, because for most of my life, the Superman I know is a Superman that flies, but seeing him following a car by running behind it, it's not something that I'm used to at this point. And it's really,
but here in panel 59 on the page before, that is exactly what it looks like. Looks like he's flying, it's like he's the car.
Yep. He's doing the Hulk thing where he's leaping.
Yep. That's more what we're used to now.
And you wouldn't even know that, even just it doesn't even tell you in the panel that if you looked at that panel by itself, even with the text, you would assume he's flying, because it just says shortly after, high overhead in the sky, Superman trails Powers Auto. So yeah, I can understand why eventually there's an issue where an artist just draws him flying, because
can we just have him flying like from now on?
Right. Yeah. And then Superman really does go to quite the extreme lengths to make sure that the story doesn't go out. Wrecking this printing press and then breaking the photographic plates so that
don't forget trashing the delivery trucks.
Yeah. He
did that too. So
it's, Superman, come on, brother. Matt wants us to look at panel 39.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yep, looks like he's flying there too. Yep.
Yep.
Can be seen streaking down to now. See, that even implies that he's flying.
Yeah.
Fantastic Figure can be seen streaking down toward Gene Powers' home. Well, yeah, he's flying, but no, he's jumped and he's just falling. And that's another question that just occurred to me. If he is this awesome jumper, can he control when he decides to come down?
That's a good question, because he does that a lot when he's descending. You would think somebody who doesn't fly but is leaping, that they would drop out of the sky feet first, but he tends to dive out of the sky a lot. It's like he gets to the apex of the arc and then dives down, which I find really, really weird for him, because it would just be easier for him to drop out of the sky feet first, because he's got to flip back over so he lands on his feet.
Well, what I was referring to, though, is can he cut his leap short?
Right. Yeah.
Does he have this phenomenal spatial ability to calculate that whatever the distance is, he jumps exactly what that distance requires?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you could say the same thing for the Hulk. I mean, but we're not talking the Hulk, So, but it's like, so does he always? He never overshoots. He never comes up short, or does?
I mean, I feel like I've read issues of the Hulk where he has been in midair in the middle of his leap and notices something on the ground and still manages to land next to, it's like he's in mid leap and he looks down and is like, oh, there's something down there I should probably check out, and
And
manages to land
he can
there.
go to it. Okay. I don't know.
To me, but to me, that's flying.
Well, I don't possess super leaping ability, so
Yeah.
I can't attest to how it works exactly.
I mean, I guess if Superman can, lift that sub out of the water in that one previous issue without
Whatever it is,
anything behind him to act as a
to buoy
yeah
push
I guess,
against. It's like, okay,
yeah.
just the
It's
water.
just comic books, man. Come on, guys.
That's what it is. Overthinking it.
Yep.
Gotta quit. He does get shot twice here, so that's cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't impressive with the arrow, so they had to have him get shot. It's and it's a good gun and everything, because the other dude gets killed with the same gun, and so it's legit. Kills the one dude, but not Superman.
Yeah, and I there are times when it seems like whenever he's being shot recently in the stories, he always has something funny to say about it. At least I think it's funny. I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but of course this guy shoots him and he just says, "Give me that." And I know in a previous story that somebody was shooting him and he was just like, "I could do this all day," or something to that, to that effect. But in this case, he's just like, "Give me that. Like, what are you doing? Come on, I'm Superman." And the bullet careens off Superman's super tough skin. "Surprised," he says. And then, throws him into a wall. That's a great panel.
That's a very violent looking.
Yeah. That guy.
The wall.
I don't think that guy, he probably has a broken back.
He's going to be feeling that in the morning. Yep.
So
extended tub time there for that one.
Yeah, he's going to need some Epsom salt or something. Going to soak for a while.
Look at this tower here in panel 77.
Yeah, looks like a Christmas tree almost.
It's a rather impressive tower for a building.
Yeah.
It looks almost evil, kind of, or something, Everything else is nice and square and rectangular and 90 degrees and everything. And then you have this, I don't know, John Carter of Mars building or something there.
It almost looks like a drill.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Maybe they'll pick that up in a next issue somewhere.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they hid stuff like that in these, that I'm going to draw this building that will come back as a Martian spaceship.
Right. Yeah. Then because of something like this book will sell for more, because that's the actual first appearance of whatever it is, instead of,
Yeah. And then of course, these last two pages, like you said, it's like he gets to this newspaper and tries to stop them from printing it, but it's too late. It's already been printed. It's being loaded onto trucks. And so he destroys their trucks. And then that's not enough. He has to destroy the printing press and the photographic plate just so they can't make any more. And makes the guy leave town.
By threatening him with his life, or
you're smart, you won't be in this city tomorrow. I'll get out at once.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we learn a week later that the politician was reelected, and that Clark was of great assistance. And Clark gives a little nod and a wink to the readers. Many thanks from Superman too. So it would be fun if we got an issue later where we find out that Superman has to go see this politician and it's like, "Hey, I need something from you. I helped you get elected."
Or the politician goes dirty.
Yeah.
And he, I helped you get here, and this is how you repay that.
Yeah. And honestly,
you better leave town.
With Superman in these stories, it wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened, because really it's almost like anything at any point, Superman could just be like, "I don't agree with that.
Yep.
And so I'm going to destroy a bunch of stuff."
And that's all you got. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it,
Yeah. That's all I
Okay,
got to
I don't.
say about this
Okay,
one.
yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. So we do want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you'd like to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. Also, reach out to us on Twitter over at Soups, S-U-P-S, Super Show, one word, Soups Super Show. Or and I made a motion with my hands like you guys on the audio can hear. Yeah, okay. Or come join the fun over on the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All links for everything will be in the show notes. So, till next week, folks, I'm Ed, and that's Steven. This was the Superman Super Show.
Bye.
Ciao.
Let me save this file. We got our air conditioner running today. We haven't had the air conditioner running in over a week.
Yeah,
It's been nice, but
it's been in like the middle 50s at night and getting to like the high 60s, low 70s during the day here for the past couple of weeks. It's been pretty sweet.
we've had almost similar low 60s at night and then mid 70s during the day. But this week, it got up to 102 today. So,
yeah.
But then it's supposed to be back down to, mid 70s next week. So
that's like temperatures you cook at, I mean, that's not a temperature you live at. That's ugly.
Yeah. Well, that's Kansas. I know it
Yeah,
gets, there are places in the country that have colder winters than we do. And there are
Yes.
places in the country that have warmer summers than we do. But
indeed,
the one thing that you always get sick of hearing living in Kansas is if you don't like the weather today, wait till tomorrow, because it fluctuates so much that, it can be mid 70s one day and 102 the next. So,
all right, saved up, recording, ready to go, dog.
All right, right behind you. Let's do the clap. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take a drink of my soda. Wet the old whistle. All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 26, Superman and the Purple Plague. Makes me think of one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Sure looks strange to me.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy.
Howdy, Ed.
Howdy.
How's things?
Going pretty well. Just got done watching as the two gentlemen that we hired to fix the stairs from the ground up to our back porch on both sides finished up their work. They finished that earlier today.
Now, when you say you were watching them, were you just over their shoulders like a hawk the entire time, making sure? Are you sure you want to put that nail there?
Yeah, absolutely not. No, there is a part of me that wants to do that, but fortunately, the part of me that has done things of that nature doesn't like that type of behavior. So I erred on that side rather than the homeowner who has to have it. Yeah, no.
Yeah, using 2x4s there.
Yeah, you hired them. You got to trust them to do what you hired them to do, and let them do it.
Exactly. Yep. And me, I wouldn't know if they were doing something wrong.
I know up to a point, but not obviously. If I knew enough, I wouldn't have hired two men to do it. I mean,
right.
So it's there is that break in. Well, how much do you know? Not enough to do it. That's
yeah. I don't really have anything else for banter. That might be our shortest banter during this during this time of recording 3 episodes in a row.
We're going to have to start taking banter notes. I'm going to have to add that to my notes. Banter, and then have like 2 or 3 topics and see which one,
Yeah.
No,
There's the
I'm not gonna
weather.
do that. Yeah, check.
And then, what about the local sports team?
Yeah.
Did you see the local sports team throwing that ball around?
Yeah, how about the Alabama Roll Tide?
Yeah,
Which
see,
I could do all that, but
you
I
could.
don't.
I couldn't.
I was gonna say I don't
Yeah.
believe you're a
Yeah.
big fan like that. But
No.
yeah, one of my top fandoms is college football. So I'm getting geared up here with week 3 coming up, week 4 if you consider some games that started the season. But yeah,
Have you ever watched the IT Crowd?
No, I don't believe so.
British show about a couple of nerds who work in IT, and there was an episode where one of them had an app on their phone that you could use to talk sports with the common man, and it not only gave you
Wow.
things to say, you could listen to it so you could pronounce it phonetically correctly. It was, because of the different accents they have in England. So the one I remember was, did you see that ludicrous display last night? And then what different ways you could reply, because they're, it was just funny. I could use something like that when it comes to small talk with most of the dudes in my social circles, because I'm always quite surprised to learn how many people I know who love comics and love nerdy things, but are also way into sports, because I just never realized that those two worlds collided as much as they do.
Right.
And but there are more people I know who like comics who also like sports than folks who like me like comics and just aren't into sports. There's way more of a crossover than I ever would have imagined. Can't tell you how many times I would be in the comic book store when I used to work there, and there was if people weren't talking comics, they were either talking about Magic the Gathering, which I also knew nothing about. I didn't play, or they were talking sports.
Okay.
So 2/3 of the time I was not part of the conversation.
Yeah. You were out.
Yeah. I distinctly remember a kid coming in once and talking. He came up to the counter to buy some Magic cards, and we always did Magic tournaments every weekend. And I always had to work on those Saturdays. And this kid comes up, he throws a bunch of packs down, and he just goes, yeah, it was crazy. The guy threw this down, and I took a fireball out, and I did this, and bam. And I just sat there, and I said, I really have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, well, you don't play Magic? And I said, no, I don't. And he was like a 13 years old or something. He goes, how do you work at a comic book store and not play Magic? Okay. And I just went, just lucky, I guess. But he couldn't understand that. And it's like, yeah, there's Magic the Gathering stuff all around me. How could I not be a part of it? And I did try. I just could never get into it. That's all right. Fair. So that I mentioned it was a short banter, and then suddenly we made it longer. So I should not mention the length of our banter. that's bring it up. The lesson I learned. Just stay quiet. Just don't bring it up. All right. So today we're looking at Superman and the Purple Plague, which appeared in Action Comics number 19. This was written by Jerry Siegel, penciled and inked by Paul Cassidy. It was, of course, published by DC Comics. It's got a cover date of December of 1939 and an approximate sale date of October 31st, 1939, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics. And here's what happened. Very short summary this episode. Clark rides an ambulance from the police headquarters to pick up a patient, a man in a stupor from which he cannot be aroused. The doctor on duty acknowledges he's never seen anything like this. The disease quickly spreads as a plague, killing dozens of people. Professor Henry Travers, a scientist who's a friend of Clark, finally finds a cure to the disease, but he's suddenly knocked out and abducted by the Ultra-Humanite's henchmen. Superman hurries after the crooks, but they throw the scientist off a cliff. That's a funny sentence. Superman hurries after the crooks, but they throw the scientist off a cliff to get Superman off their backs. Superman manages to save the scientist and soon learns that the Ultra-Humanite is behind the artificial plague. Unfortunately, Travers' first formula fails to cure the plague. Superman confronts the evil old mastermind, but is injured by Ultra's electric gun. The Ultra-Humanite attempts to electronically mind control Superman into distributing more of his purple plague, but Superman was only pretending to be mind controlled, and he destroys the villain's stockpile of plague serum. Ultra tries to shoot Superman again with his electric gun, but this time Superman pulls him in front of the weapon, which seemingly kills him. Dr. Travers soon develops a workable cure for the purple plague, and the epidemic is stopped. Ed, what'd you think of this one?
I liked it because it was the first time, I believe, that there was absolutely nothing Superman could do to fix it.
Yeah. This was a bit of a departure for many of these Superman stories. And at first, I was quite horrified. It was very dark, just people dying all over the place. The summary says dozens. I felt like there were more than a dozen people that died from this thing. I, at one point, thought that it was like most of the city, but apparently I was reading the issue wrong.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Daily, the streets are clogged with death wagons carting away load upon load of putrefying corpses.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oof.
That's more than a dozen.
Very dark.
And the only thing that was missing from this panel was somebody walking in front of it with a bell saying what?
Bring out your dead.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't help but think of the same thing. It was I'll be honest, when I got to that point in the story, I really thought that we were at a game changer here, and that, it's like, oh my gosh, nothing is going to be the same in this book ever again, because everyone in Metropolis has died.
They're dying. Yeah.
But I rather enjoyed it as well, despite its darkness. It was very interesting, and there really wasn't much Superman could do except save the scientist. That was really the only thing he could do, is make sure that the guy who could find the cure stayed alive long enough.
Right. But no amount of threatening or throwing people or whatever could have done anything to fix this. It had to be the scientist.
His normal modus operandi could not be. There was nothing for him to destroy or run out of town.
That's right.
Or threaten to kill.
He couldn't get the purple plague to leave town by being mean and stern, and it wasn't going to work this time.
I liked it just simply because it was really something we have not seen yet. And many of these stories are, while they're fun, it's almost kind of the same old stuff over and over.
Mobsters, gangsters, ne'er-do-wells of some normal nature doing stuff. But this was a disease. This was a plague.
Yeah, and it almost redefines the Ultra-Humanite, because up to this point, the few times we've seen him, he's really more been involved in kind of racketeering type stuff.
Right.
The kind of things that would make him money. And that really, killing an entire city full of people doesn't seem to be a money-making scheme.
Not a very good one.
I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall if they speak to his motivation at all in this issue, in this story.
I thought they did. Didn't he say something about wiping out humanity so that it can be replaced with
Yes, that's right. Yes.
the
Yeah.
human race shall be blotted out so that I can launch a race of my own.
Yeah.
Panel 49 there. So, which he has mentioned before that that's what he wanted to do is to create his own race. But,
Yeah.
is that create his own race like, Nazi Ubermensch, which
Right.
wasn't necessarily wiping out humanity, just making a better humanity and letting Darwinian principles, work after that. But no, he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm going to make room for my new people first.
Yep. And something I want to point out, I feel like I forget to do this every time we talk about one of these stories, and I'm trying to find it actually doesn't happen in this freaking story, which makes me sad because I keep forgetting to point it out. But there are many times during these stories where we see Clark in his apartment changing into Superman,
Mm-hmm.
into his Superman outfit. And oh no, there it is. What is that? 27, 28, 29, panel 29, where
Taking his shoes
he's
off.
changing in. It's such a pedestrian thing to see him with his foot up on the bed, untying his shoe, or he's sitting in a chair, pulling his boots on. And it's, the most common way I remember ever seeing Superman change into his costume was running into a phone booth and
Right. Yeah,
quickly flying back out again as Superman, doing it at lightning super speed. And just the fact that he's just, doesn't seem to be any hurry. He's just got his foot up on the bed and he's taking his shoe off. I love those are my favorite panels in any of these stories, is him just as a normal dude, just putting on his suit.
Well, he's got to take care of the shoes. They're probably the most expensive component of his outfit. I mean, so
it's just such a humdrum thing to see.
What's he going to do? Is he going to like Hulk out of his shoes, flex his toes, and bust them?
Well, no, but it's you expect to see, like Wonder Woman who just spins around really fast and suddenly she's Wonder Woman, or Barry Allen where his costume pops out of his ring and he
hits his ring.
Yeah, but at the very least, I almost expect to see him just changing into his Superman outfit at super speed. But no, he's just seeing him in some issues where he's just sitting on your average looking wooden chair, pulling some boots on or something. It almost feels like the story. Well, let me put it this way. Have you seen the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Yes.
The part in the movie near the end where he's getting ready to go out and fight Gideon, and they have the moment in his apartment where he's putting on his sweatbands and he's putting on his jacket, and then they slow down so he can lace his shoes up. It's like the speediness and the urgency of the moment just suddenly grinds to a halt, and he just tying his shoes. That's what these panels make me think of. It's like
you can't urgent that.
Yeah, they just make me laugh every time I run across one, and I always forget to say something about it during these episodes. So I feel good that I finally was able to.
You got it in there while we're recording.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of glad that they named the plague in the title, because I'm not necessarily sure by the coloring of the people that I would pick up that was purple.
Yeah,
I mean it. Having said it, I can kind of see it, but if I had no indication of the color, if it was just the plague, I would wonder about the color, and it could be just the limitations of the. At this time it was just 4-color, wasn't it?
Yes.
4-color newsprint. So
without them calling it the purple plague, I would have, because it's almost maybe a strange gray.
Or maybe a bad take on a brown of a non-Caucasian color, that it looks like they would use for that or something like that.
Yeah. What are you doing? The little helmet that the Ultra-Humanite puts on Superman to control him.
Yes.
Looks very funny.
Yes, it does.
It almost looks like just like a miner's helmet. And then I love his fantastic airship, very reminiscent of the era. Very
Yes.
Flash Gordon.
Yes. Very, very Trip from Krypton.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
And
Or I don't know. I like your Flash Gordon better. Yeah.
I don't know what panel this is because they seem to have stopped numbering the panels. But the
universe. Sorry,
I just hear whispered because I'm not looking at the video right now. I'm looking at the book, and I just hear this whispered.
It's going through my head, man.
Queen version of the Flash Gordon theme song. Yeah. But the page where we see the Ultra-Humanite's ship, and when Superman knocks out the guy on the ship, and just the panel of him jumping, good riddance as the ship hurtles to the ground.
And is destroyed. It says, and total destruction. So
total destruction. So
however many people were in there, I mean, you know, we see one, but was that all? It doesn't matter. They're dead.
You know,
how many people in these books have died?
Well, just based on this story alone, millions.
This is but
and that's why I don't care about the people on this airship at this point, because
you're
of all the people they killed in Metropolis, I'm
not biased, but you're whatever the word is. And then, you know, everything else that's happened in this story, a child comes down with the purple plague.
Yep. And there's a lot of people on the street, you know,
not doing anything.
Yeah,
man, nothing to save the boy. And he points it out, you cowards, letting him just lie there.
Yep. I mean, I get it to a certain extent. Nobody wants to touch the kid because they don't want to get the plague either.
I was gonna say, but you know,
still, it's if that's the case, what are they doing out on the street?
To begin with, if they're that worried about it,
But and then, do we believe at this point that the Ultra-Humanite has died?
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
He hasn't died up to now.
Right? Yeah.
Why is he going to die this time?
Yeah, he's still in the comics. Know. But you know, I am interested to see how long it's going to be before we see him again. You know, is he dead for the Golden Age? Will we see him again during the Golden Age? Or I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if you've read ahead and you know that he shows up again in a couple issues, but
I read about something of that nature, but I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember the specifics of what I read or where I read it, but what you're saying does occur, and it will occur soon, and it will occur for a period of time. But yeah,
okay. Cool.
I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah.
The very last panel, this is like the third action maybe that has this advert for the World Fair comic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true, Matt. That's you know, it really brings home a very recent situation here in real life the past 2 or 3 years of the vax, no vax, mask, no you know, it's like all of this. And
for those listening, for those listening, Matt, who's joined us watching live, says he's commented, not all of us have the power to resist disease, Clark. You know, because Clark calls everybody cowards for not doing anything about this.
Just lie there. Yeah, we found out way early that this doesn't affect Clark. So you can talk, dog. So
yeah, exactly. He can get up on his high horse. But it is rather poignant when you compare it to what's going on today.
Interesting. Yeah, because like you said, if they're that worried, why are they well, you know, that is very familiar thinking to me for some things I've encountered over the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. But this ad on the last panel for the New York World's Fair comics, I'm assuming we're still talking about the first one, because with
I
the
guess,
second
yeah.
one, I think we get the second one in the next volume.
We should here pretty soon, because
Yeah.
I think they were only like 16 or 18 months apart as far as when they were published. So they were relatively close together.
So that first one must have been on the stands for a while.
Must have, yeah.
Yeah.
Or they knew they were going to do a second, so they just kept the same teaser running.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that story, we only have 2 more stories in this volume of book, this Golden Age Volume 1.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So we've just about gone through an entire volume.
I can't believe we are at that point. It felt like it was, I mean, granted, there's like what, 7, 8, 9, 10 freaking volumes in this Golden Age.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's up there a little bit.
We still have a crap ton of issues to get through, but it feels good knowing that we're coming to the end of this first volume. It feels like we've accomplished
there's a quasi spoiler that he threw up there, not like heavy, but
Matt says a fun twist coming with Ultra. I won't spoil it.
There you go. So the Ultra's going to do something, be something. Now, I will say that to me, the Ultra-Humanite is the character I believe that I first ran into with All-Star Squadron. And because I did read it when it was coming out when I was in junior high. I loved that book. He was a white gorilla.
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember.
That is the Ultra-Humanite that I remember. That was the first time I ever saw him. So, I mean, it just makes sense that he would have started as a human being, but
yeah,
that is the Ultra-Humanite I remember.
I feel like looking him up now.
Ultra-Humanite? No, don't, because it'll spoil the when he disappears and when he comes back, and so don't do that.
All right, I closed the window.
All right. I mean, it's not going to do any. It won't add to anything, because when it comes up, we'll talk about, oh well, he's died again, and which he always dies. Well, no, every appearance he has died, hasn't he? As far as Superman
he has, but it's like we haven't seen we haven't seen it like this, where there appears to be a body.
No body, right.
Because like the one time though, he was in the airplane that went down,
right,
and they couldn't find a body. This last time I think he just disappeared. He wasn't there. It was a hologram.
Yeah, now see, that I think that's the only time that something like catastrophic. Superman was unconscious, right? And when he woke back up, the Humanite was gone.
Yeah.
But every other appearance, he supposedly there was some tragic ending to his.
Yeah. But I think this is the first time we see a body, or what appears to, because he's laying there, but
Well, yeah, who knows?
I want to at some point just look into his history to see if there was an actual transition from human to ape, or if that's just one of those Silver Age things.
He just appeared that way, and the next time he showed up.
Yeah, like Jay Garrick Flash from the Golden Age and Barry Allen Flash from the Silver Age. It's just
right.
When they introduced the character in the Silver Age or whatever, I just make him a gorilla this time,
That'll be cool.
Let's do that. Or if, something happened to him and he turned into a gorilla. Because I do remember that now. I do remember reading stories with the Ultra-Humanite as a white gorilla.
Okay. I don't really have anything more to add.
Nope, me neither. Good story. Had fun with this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one.
It was again very. I think the thing I like the most about it is I'm always into, for example, The Stand is one of my favorite stories of all time. There's just something to me about
Stand in the place where you work.
No, we're not talking about REM. No.
Oh, okay.
Now I have that song in my head. Thank you.
Yes, certainly.
Now face
north.
But
think about direction. Wonder. Okay, sorry.
It's. I'll use the example the comic Akira. Did you ever read that?
Yes, I have.
There's a moment in that book where something, it's not a plague, but it's almost like where something happens to Tokyo that just changes everything. Right. And I just love stories like that. Now, in this case, it doesn't really change anything. We'll go back to status quo in the next issue. But I love stories that just, you're used to it being one way, and then some kind of catastrophic event just happens and everything changes. And suddenly it's like you're reading a whole other book. And that's how this one felt. I know that that's not what happens, but that's why I think why I dug this one so much.
It was leading you that way, and you're like, even though I know, but
there were literally the part that you read out where the death carts were around. I was just like, holy crap! What is happening? Man.
They're not even driving around. It's regressed to where it's carts with a horse and throw them in the. It's like, wow, it's bad.
That's bad. Yep. Which is shocking to then just see people on the street when the little boy.
Well, they're like, hey, I'm not in a cart, so I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
That's you.
No, I think it's you, isn't it?
Yes.
You read the synopsis.
Yes, it is. It's me.
Okay.
Good Lord. All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the supermansupershow@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. The handle is @SoupsSuperShow. Or come join in on all the fun over at the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All of those links will be in the show notes, so don't worry about trying to write them down, because they're right there. They're right there in the show notes. Just go look. They're there. Did you look? That's okay. You don't have to look now because you're listening to this episode, but they'll be there. Don't worry. They're not going anywhere. So until next week, folks, I'm Steven. That's Ed. And this is the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. Wow. I don't know when it happened. I hope that the StreamYard turns out okay for that episode, because my recording for some reason stopped after 2.5 minutes for that third episode.
Yikes.
My audacity. I just jumped over here to stop it, and it's like,
oh, really? Yeah, let me take a look at mine. No, mine kept going, so okay.
Yeah. So will you be available next Tuesday?
As far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go ahead and plan on that, and we'll see if at the very least we can finish out what's in this first volume.
Okay.
But I'll plan on. I always try to read at least 4 of them.
Right.
So, but I just didn't get to it this time.
Yeah, that's.
Hello, cat. Okay. Which cat is this?
This is, don't stand on that one. This is Kitsune. That's the one that controls everything, dog.
Slapping you in the face with that tail.
Yeah, with the whippy tail. Not a fan of what I did, and is expressing his displeasure.
Take that. Slap, slap. Doug, Matt, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you. Must have had to really go dark to freak people out during the Depression. Oh, yeah. Yeah, really. How much worse did it have to get get worse?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, this one really,
But I mean, that is kind of funny. It's like, it's so bad. And that's actually what they drew. It was a cart. It's like, dude, really?
Yeah. I'm gonna go look at it again right now. Because I do recall, it's a cart, and there's like, oh my God, you can see like legs hanging out of it, and there's a head
up on there. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was,
The streets are clogged with death, wagons carting away load upon load of putrefying corpses. Horror grips the city.
Putrefying
Purple plague grips Metropolis, takes terrible toll. Hundreds drop. Why did they say dozens in the freaking synopsis? I mean, this news article says hundreds.
Yep.
Well, dropped. We don't know that they're dead.
Well, yeah, they're dead. There was no helping them at that point.
You know, we got people in this one panel. You know, it's too bad we're no longer recording. We've got people in this one panel before the death cart, blocking up their doors and nailing boards over their windows. And then, you know, later in the book, they're just out walking. They're just out there on the streets going, what's up? Oh, a little boy just passed out. Let's don't touch him.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Ah, look, he's sick.
Must be the purple plague. Yeah, they actually call it that in that. Is that what they? Yeah, the purple plague, somebody says.
Mm-hmm.
That lady's just pointing at the kid. The purple plague. All right. Well, again, Matt, Doug, thank you for joining us. I think I'm gonna sign off and start getting ready for bed.
All right, man. I will talk to you on Twitter and in Poison next Tuesday night.
Yep.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Ciao.
Just ended the broadcast, or I'm ending it now. Boom. Broadcast is